Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Let's Talk Arsenal series, our twice weekly show on a Tuesday and a Friday at 5 p.m. UK time, which has, of course, seen a couple of changes of late due to the Euros and the transfer window and just general being busy. But we are on time today on a Friday for our Q&A show, which we try and do every single week. We do some phone-in shows, we do some Q&A shows, and today is a Q&A one, unless, of course, some of the members in our Discord server fancy jumping on at any point, in which case, make sure you send me a direct message in the Discord server and you could hop on to have your views heard about all the different things that are going on with the club at the moment. Let's kick off with, obviously, kind of the biggest news of the day, which is obviously Arsenal's new kit launch. I want to know what you think in the chat. I want to know how you feel about the kit. Is it too similar to Ajax's strip? Is something that obviously there's been a lot of similarities given to throughout the time in which we've obviously known the club, and seeing similarities to old kits, new kits, but now similarities to other teams' kits. And specifically, it is Ajax that are taking the kind of the focus away from plenty of other people and plenty of other teams and stuff, because it's this kind of the idea about these white strips down the sides and then the torso being kind of all this kind of blood red situation, which is, again, very similar to the Ajax design. Does that bother you? I want to know if it bothers you. I want to know if it's something that actually annoys you to see Arsenal kind of take inspiration, is the right word, probably, from that side of things. Let me know how you feel about it in the chat box, and we'll get some of your thoughts and feelings about the new kit. Kian says Arsenal pulled out of the Aouar deal. I mean, that's something that we can talk about in a little bit. It's Friday. It's Crackerjack. It's what? What is Crackerjack, Wayne? You're going to have to let me know what that is. I've no idea what it is. Please do enlighten me as to your Friday ongoings. It's a good one, says Arun. Liking the kit. Kian says it's an absolute beauty. Saka 7 is going to be on the back. I feel like Saka may be a popular choice this season, and quite rightly too. Ben P. Olo amigo. Would you rather Abraham or Edouard from Celtic? P.S. It's a banger of a home kit. Not biased as an Ajax admirer as well. Ben, I think I'd rather have Abraham personally. Because he's Premier League proven, he's got those abilities and skills in his locker already. England homegrown as well is a big positive for that. If there's no, you're not talking about price, so if it's a straight shot between either of them, I lead towards Abraham personally. Michael says it's okay, don't hate it, don't love it, which is completely fair enough. A lot of people got different opinions about the kit. Matt G says, I know it looks like the Ajax kit, but I love it. Owen says, I would look like an absolute fella in that kit. I mean, I think you get too many liberties being in that group chat. I think we're going to need to have an assessment of your of your presence in our WhatsApp group. Mo Fella says, thanks for the efforts, Tom. No problem at all. Thanks, Afterling. It's a few days old now, but appreciate the compliment, fella. Neil says, I don't mind if we have pink kit if we're in the top 4. I mean, what'd be wrong with having a pink kit? I mean, there's a lot of nice pink kits out there. Palermo have had a fantastic kit for many, many years. Nothing wrong with a pink kit whatsoever. Rahil says, I really like the new home kit. I've already ordered it, which does bring forward the whole argument, the idea, the debates around whether or not you should buy the kit, because, of course, there's the argument going ahead that maybe you shouldn't be buying kits because it puts money in the Kroenke's pockets. Is it a really an effective argument to be campaigning to not spend money? I think there is elements of it to go, yeah, you know what, it makes a lot of sense until they really spend on the club. Maybe we shouldn't be spending on the club ourselves. But at the same time, I'm not going to go around telling people they can or cannot buy kits. I mean, I wouldn't anyway, because it would make me a massive hypocrite at the same time. But it's interesting how people see it different ways. And I think it's something that we're going to have to discuss in today's show. Before we do, though, Johnny, Kryptonite, and what amazing surname that is if it turns out to be true. Johnny, thank you so much for joining us as a member, mate. Really appreciate your support as always. And if you have indeed joined up as an expert member or a TGT ambassador, I will see you in the Discord server I'm sure, very, very soon. Let's scroll down a little bit more. Hugh Wizzy will not be happy. Hugh will not be amused at the idea of people buying kits. Of course, you may have seen me and Hugh a little bit. I'm back and forth on Hugh's channel a while ago talking about kits. It was a good debate. He uploaded a separate video to his channel if you want to have a look into that, because it was quite a good discussion, a little bit of a heated debate, and always appreciate staying friends at the end of the whole debate of things, which is really the way that we should be approaching things in the whole Arsenal sphere, the Arsenal world. As long as we are all remaining friends at the end of it, that's what's most important, keeping it respectful, keeping it not abusive whatsoever. Doug S. Otto says the third kit better knock it out of the park. No green in Italy kits. I mean, in terms of the third kit, from the leaks that have gone out, it looks like an inspiration from the lightning bolt kit that we saw during the 90s. So maybe that turns out to be true. A lot of the leaks have been pretty spot on so far. So we'll see if it is indeed the lightning bolt kit. I do like the design. It will be one that I need to think about which ones I'm going to go for. I've already got the yellow one because I liked it so much with the cannon. I'm not sure whether or not I can go for all three or even a second one. I'll not be able to get past. We're meant to be saving for a wedding at the end of the day. And when she sees me rocking up in all the Arsenal kits, she's going to be going, yeah, we're meant to be saving for a wedding. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to sneak a new Arsenal kit past the other half. Michael says, Tom, where am I heading on vacation? I'm off to the Peak District in the UK. Of course, travel restrictions are as such here that going anywhere is pretty tricky right now. So the plan is head to the Peaks, which is like about 4.5 hours from the south of England. Soak up some nice countryside that's not full of the fumes of the urban areas in which I live in, and just enjoy a relaxing week. I will still try to give you guys the 8 a.m. shows as much as I can, but I'll be leaving on Monday. I'll be doing the Monday morning show here, and then I'll be heading off. But there will be no green screen for a bit. I can't take the green screen with me. It doesn't fit in the car. So you're going to have to deal with some, weird backgrounds for a bit. But yeah, other than that, it should be business as usual. Thanks, Michael. Much appreciated. Vinny says the new kit is nicer than I thought. Only bit I don't like is the blue. Is that on the shoulders? Kind of the Adidas 3 stripes. Yeah, I feel like they could have been white. I'm not sure why they had to go the dark navy blue on those. It could have been white. It's a bit of a strange decision there, but it does mix up the colour variation a little bit, I suppose. Constantine says, Tom, how long have you been supporting Arsenal? I mean, as far back as I can remember. I mean, I'm 26. So, yeah, as far back as I'm 26. For a second, I was second guessing how old I was. It's been so long since actually thinking about how old you are. In the terms of like lockdown, it's almost as if I've forgotten how old I am. 2 years of my life gone, mid-20s, ruined by the pandemic. But yeah, as long as I can remember, I mean, yeah, single digits. So that long, probably about 20 plus years so far. Neil says, weekend going to be 30 degrees. It's going to be very hot this week. Make sure you stay protected. Get those sunscreen out and keep yourselves as covered as possible. Ashwin says, why am I not getting notifications anymore? I don't know, Ashwin. It's not under my control, I'm afraid. I'm really sorry. One of the ways in which you can avoid missing out on these shows, and if you have Twitter, of course, we do put out on Twitter when the shows are going to be. So if you want to turn your notifications on for Twitter, you will get those notifications through. But we try and do these shows on a Friday. And as with all of our shows on a Friday, these shows are, of course, always sponsored by football prizes. And we got a pretty good prize this week. A signed Freddie Ljungberg shirt is going to be going at 7:30 today, signed by the man himself with certificate of authentication. So, it's not anything dodgy. And you've obviously got plenty of time left to get your tickets. 69 tickets sold so far, 30 tickets left to be sold. So make sure you get it in there. If you go on Football Prizes website, you'll be able to get those. And we're halfway through the show. We will be giving away one free ticket to one of our Discord members as well. So make sure you stay tuned to find out which of our Discord members has won a free ticket into the draw. But there's only 30 left. So you got to be quick. They will be going like hotcakes. There usually is a little bit of a spike towards the end. So you don't want to miss out just in case it does sell out, guys. And as After Link says, please make sure you do hit the like button on today's show and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here with those notifications turned on, so you sometimes never miss a show if they decide to send you those notifications, of course. Steve Farrell says, hi, Tom. Can you think of a goalkeeper we could get who can... Oh, sorry, I've read that completely wrong. Grammar messes me up. Hi, Tom. Can you think of a goalkeeper we could get who could do what Martinez can do? And do you think we should offer Villa whatever they want to get Emi Martinez back? I mean, first part of your question, Steve, is obviously you've got to identify a goalkeeper that's good from playing out from the back, which I've always kind of looked at as Onana from a player that we've been linked with. I think that would be a really good replacement that's good with the ball at his feet. I like Bono as well from Sevilla. He's a fantastic goalkeeper that's really done well since moving there. And for me, someone that I reckon Arsenal would do well to get hold of. I know they've just lost Vashlik, who's gone to, I believe, Olympiacos. But with the right amount of money, maybe you'd be able to get him in. But signing Emi Martinez back is just never, ever going to happen. Aston Villa are already... yes, Owen, I did laugh. Aston Villa are already going to be putting loads and loads and loads of money on top of the price that they paid for him, because he's arguably now one of the top three, if not the top goalkeeper, especially last season, in the Premier League. So he's up there with Ederson and Alisson, which, when you think about the fact that we let him go, is, not a great look. Not a great look whatsoever. Jack Whitehead's at high time. Who, in your opinion, is better partner for Partey, Ruben Neves or Bissouma? It's a good question, Jack, because if you think about both players, they play different positions. You've got Bissouma, who plays as more of a number 6, and you've got Ruben Neves, who plays more of a number 8 position. I think as a partner, you look more at Ruben Neves as a partner, because I want Partey playing as kind of, if you're going to play with a number 6, then you're going to play 4-3-3. And you're going to play Partey alongside Lokonga or a Neves. Bissouma playing kind of behind him. And I don't look at that necessarily as a partner. Yes, if you went to 4-2-3-1, then you could play Bissouma alongside Partey, I suppose. But if you're going to bring in a number 6, I quite like us to try out the 4-3-3, allow us to be a little bit more progressive. Even playing someone like Joe Willett next to Partey with Bissouma playing behind those two is a really good option, I think, for us. The priority for me has always been Bissouma. He, for me, is the better option for us to go for. It's just a difficult situation because Arsenal don't seem that keen on going for Bissouma, which is, a little bit of a shame, because I think we all would like to see Yves Bissouma come to the club, but it's not looking too great right now. Channel SHU, maybe that's Sheffield. Are you a Sheffield United fan? Says, pick one group: Onana, White, and Lokonga and Maddison. Aarons, White, Lokonga, and Bissouma, or Lamptey, White, Lokonga, and Sabitzer. Well, the first one is the only one that includes Maddison. Very good player, of course, but does include a backup goalkeeper, a centre-back, and a midfielder. I think that the best option from that group is probably number 3, because Lamptey is still obviously a very good right-back, injury issues aside. White is in all of them, so that doesn't matter. Lokonga is a centre midfielder that we need, yes. And Sabitzer brings you in the attacking midfielder that we need. And number 2 only adds to the midfield position and the right back. And I'm not sure that's the best option. So I go for number 3, actually, personally. Because Sabitzer can also play as a number 8. So he's got that versatility about his game. And you're getting in a good right back at the same time. So I think I would pick number 3 from that group, actually. But they're all good options, and I hope we don't have to pick between any of them, to be honest. Sam Trester says, what do you think about the Holdings, a.k.a. Bobby Bullett's new hair, or lack thereof? I mean, yeah, good for him. I thought he had a hair transplant. I mean, we saw some, why did I say plant? Hair transplant. We saw some images where it looked like he'd had one. Maybe it's just now just taking, and it's going to take a while, or he shaved it off, or you have to keep shaving it until it gradually comes back. Maybe that's what it is. Best of luck. I mean, you never know. You might see me one day having that. You can see these horns either side. I'm going to get mine sorted one day, probably, if the other half. I mean, I say if the other half allows. She hates the idea of me going bald. So surely she'd be up for a hair transplant at some stage. Not her. Definitely not her, me. We're talking about me, but you know what I mean. You catch my drift. Vignesh says, do you think Damsgaard will make a move to the Premier League? I mean, interestingly, obviously, Sampdoria signed him for a very cheap fee of around 7 million quid, I think it was. They wouldn't let him go for at least 3 times that now. Would we want to see someone of that ilk come to the Premier League in general? Yes. Would we like to see him come to Arsenal? That's trickier because of his age profile, very similar to that of Emile Smith-Rowe. Could he move to the Prem? Of course, but I'm not sure Arsenal are the right team for Damsgaard personally. I hope so, Vinny. I mean, I don't have much faith from your own personal experiences, but thanks, mate. I appreciate the optimism. Ben P says, fancy a shovel with that digging, Tom? Yeah, that's all I do, mate. All I do is just dig for days. Michael says, everyone in this window seems to want to buy cheap and sell expensive. I mean, I don't see a problem with that, Michael. Sometimes buying cheap can mean that you're getting some really good deals. I think you can get in some fantastic players that aren't necessarily so what's the word? Expensive is the word I was looking for, but I mean, I wanted to use a different superlative. You don't have to bring in someone that necessarily is that expensive and you're still going to get quality. Lokonga is a good example of that. Bertrand at Leicester is another good example of that. Martinelli's another example. There are loads of examples of players that come in on the cheap that do really, really well. Andy Robertson at Liverpool, for instance, is another one. Selling expensive is trickier for Arsenal because obviously we're in a situation where the club's perception amongst that of other clubs and other board of directors and other technical directors is such that we are known to sell cheaply. We do need to try and sell as highly as possible, but it's tricky when you've got as much deadwoods as feasibly possible in the club, which we do have so much of. And it's going to be really difficult this summer to change the perception of the club in the eyes of so many other teams. And so I think this summer we may just have to think about cutting our losses on some players and ultimately just trying to deal with the situation, which is sell players, make a loss, move on. And next summer, then we can work towards changing the perception of how we are viewed amongst the community of clubs, which we would be selling to at the end of the day. Ayath says, do you think with what's going on in Liga will create a transfer window fire sale? For those that aren't aware, Liga is facing a lot of financial difficulties on top of the pandemic because of the TV rights situation. If you do a little bit of research, I'm sure you'll be able to find out plenty more information than I could tell you. But in terms of that, I imagine that, yes, you will be able to get some clubs that are going to be open to selling players that initially, or rather if they had the TV rights deal situation sorted and they were more prepared for a pandemic hit summer, but they wouldn't be letting those go. But I think, yes, 100%, you will see those teams moving on players that they necessarily would not have wanted to get rid of previously. Benjamin Noakes says, some of the young targets we are linked to are very exciting. I would rather them than some of the so-called superstars. Billy Feraldi says, Tom, do you think if we keep Ainsley Maitland-Niles, he should be our first choice right back? No, I don't really know this obsession about Ainsley Maitland-Niles playing at right back. I don't think that's his best position. I don't think he works at right back, to be honest. I think he's better partner for Pepe than Bellerin, but that's not exactly high praise. Move Maitland-Niles on, get a decent deal for him, and then actually bring in someone that's a specialised right back than betting all of our money on someone that's not even specialised in that position. Owen says, is it okay to be openly worried yet? Of course it is, Owen. I wouldn't blame anyone at this stage now for being worried. I'm kind of in the concerned position right now. I think concern is probably the right place to be. We've got less than a month until the season starts. We've made no significant signings. We brought in a backup left back and we've moved on 3 players on loan. It's been a pretty turgid, is probably a good word to use, beginning of the window for Arsenal. When I say beginning, we're more than a month in from it actually opening from the UK's perspective. We're only 16 days from the continent's perspective. But still, I feel like for me, we probably should have done a little bit more by now, and it's not great. Maggie says, have Arsenal been friend-zoned? We're using Love Island terminology now, by Locatelli. You may have seen a tweet from Fab, Arsenal seemingly waiting on whether or not Juventus can actually get a deal done for Locatelli. It's a really odd one, isn't it? Because I'd love Locatelli. I think he's a great player. I think he's someone that really would improve our midfield. But do I want a player that doesn't want to join Arsenal? It's a difficult conundrum to kind of come to that. Because are you going to get the same Locatelli that's basically been fighting at Sassuolo to earn a move to his dream club, Juventus? Gets a move, isn't to Juventus, it's to Arsenal. Are you going to get the same Locatelli? You'd hope so. Like, you really would. They're professionals. You'd hope they would be performing at the top of their game. But do you want to take that risk? I still really want him. I think he's a fantastic player, but it's really difficult to to really see Arsenal getting Locatelli at this stage. Christopher Smith says, other than PSG, does it feel like most teams are in a holding pattern re-transfers? Do you mean in regards to kind of sticking with what they got and not really pushing too hard for overhauls in terms of a holding pattern? Not letting the dominoes fall that early on. I'm not sure, because Man United are making a few moves. Varane, Jadon Sancho, Kieran Trippier. Chelsea are wanting to do quite a bit of business in regards to kind of one big whopper of a deal in Erling Haaland. Manchester City look like they want to get Kane and Grealish. And Spurs are doing quite a bit of business from the sounds of things as well, with a couple of centre-backs, a midfielder, and maybe a forward coming in as well. So I'm not sure if a holding pattern is what we're seeing. I still think there's quite a lot of business is going to take place, but I think a lot of the business is going to take place more so in August than what we're seeing right now. So we will wait and see on that one. JD says, any update on Willian's possible leave, maternity leave? I mean, I saw an interesting thing the other day that someone put forward. You may have seen an image of Matteo Guendouzi wearing this kind of, it was like a torso weight belt, I think is what it is. I think it adds weight, which I know there's an irony to, adds weight to you so that when you're running, you burn more calories and you get fitter quicker. And a few people have suggested that the image that we've all seen of Willian, you know what I'm talking about, is that actually you can see he's wearing a padded jacket while he's playing, which would be very strange to wear that during a game. Let's be real. It's very strange that you would wear that in a game. I mean, he might be. There are images and there are things pointed out that make it look like that possibly he is wearing something underneath his shirt. But I think it's a bit of a reach, to be honest. I think he has just returned a little bit unfit, unfortunately. I say unfortunately, not because he'll play for us, but because it's going to be harder to sell him, which is a bit of an issue, you know. Good for you, but see you later. Christopher Smith says, I just mean so little. Oh, I see what you mean now regarding to a holding pattern. Yeah, maybe they are just waiting for the later on in the window, but I still think there's a lot of business that's yet to be done. Christopher Chan says, Ødegaard is cheaper than Maddison. We need to save money for improving other areas and wages. I mean, when you're going to save money, saving 30 million quid, if it'd be that, it's 20 to 30 million quid on bringing in Ødegaard over Maddison. I think when you're spending that amount of money on attacking midfielder, I'd rather go and get a prime kind of guy in that role rather than someone that is still in Ødegaard a risk. He is still a risk. Don't think that he isn't. He is still an element of risk to the Martin Ødegaard situation. Let's scroll down a little bit more. Oh, yeah. Matthew Hudson says, not surprised or outraged at the transfer window. I expect not much to be done anyways, and we'll just wait to see if I'm right or wrong. I mean, that's a pretty good way to do it at the moment. I've been advising people, look, don't lose your mind now. There is a lot of the window still to go. It's very frustrating at this moment in time, but there's a long, long way to go. There's a long, long way to go in regards to kind of what is still can happen. You think what happened in our window last summer, Partey got done very near the end of the window, and I'd like to think that we're going to get it done way before deadline day. But it does go to show you the capacity that the club has to do things at the last minute and towards the end. And I'd rather that they didn't. I'd rather they got it done sooner. But it's just the reality of the world that we live in. Thank you, Wilson, mate. Much appreciated. Gunners Forever says, Tom, what's your views on Stan Kroenke's statement? I don't have one because I've not seen it. I'm looking it up now. News, Stan Kroenke makes key changes to Arsenal board and sends messages to the club's supporters. Why have I not seen this? Let's have a look. In a statement released on the club's website, how have I not seen this? Bring the fans closer, a new approach unveiled. When did this come out? It came out yesterday. Why have I not seen this? Let's share this. Let's get you guys. I don't know. How have I missed this? This is huge. I didn't realize that we'd actually heard from him. Let's read through his comment, guys, on the Arsenal website. Here we go. You should be able to see this on your screen. Nod if you can, because I can definitely see that. Anyway, at the 2021 season approaches and the following discussion with supporters representatives, we are launching a number of initiatives to bring fans closer to the club. This is designed to ensure the fans' voice is increasingly central to our decision-making moving forward. To support this ambition, we are establishing an Arsenal advisory board exclusively comprised of Arsenal fans. to provide counsel to the Arsenal board on a range of predominantly off-field matters. Off-field stuff. The advisory Arsenal boards will consist of elected representatives from the Arsenal Independent Supporters Association, the Arsenal Supporters Trust, Gay Gooners, domestic and international supporters clubs, Arsenal Disabled Supporters Association, and the Fans Forum, represented by 18 to 24-year-old fans, and the Gooner Talk. Oh, well, great. These groups have been identified as they represent large numbers of Arsenal's diverse global community. Fan representatives will be elected by their constituent groups, and individuals will remain members for 3 years. The club will be represented on the board by Josh Kroenke, Tim Lewis, Vinay, Mark Ganella, and Mark Brindle. The Arsenal Advisory Board will meet formally at least twice a season. Key themes will be preserving our culture and tradition while celebrating our history, future direction/structure of the game, both domestically and in Europe, engaging and growing our support around the world, continuing to make a meaningful difference to those in need in our community work at home and abroad, our work on diversity and inclusion, in particular the fight against online abuse, good, growing the profile of Arsenal women and women's football more generally, and developing revenues to maximise investment in players. So there is mention of transfers there. Further areas as agreed in consultation with the Arsenal Advisory Board. Fans Forum. The Fans Forum will continue to meet 3 times a year to discuss more operational matters and will be attended by Chief Executive Vinay Venkatesham and other senior executives. Josh Kroenke will attend at least one Fan Forum each season. My one. I swear this guy turned around and said that he wanted to meet with fans more. You've got an opportunity to do it 3 times a year and you want to do it once a year? That's a bit of a letdown, isn't it? I mean, do you not see what I mean? During that fan forum, he said that he was desperate to get to know fans, meet fans. 3 days. 3 days out of 365 days. Let me just do a quick bit of maths. That's once every 122 days. That's once every 4 months. I mean, I should know that anyway. But that's ridiculous. One of them. You are the direct line, the representative of the owner of the club, and you can meet with them once in the whole year when you're actually doing it 3. That's a joke. That's pathetic. That's so bad. This is all, I appreciate this is all great. I get that this is great and stuff, and they're doing more and they're trying to connect to the fan base. But I'm sorry, that's pathetic. That really is pathetic. As part of the Fans Forum, the club commits to meaningful consultation in areas to include ticket pricing and experience, membership pricing and benefits, safe standing, significant changes to the matchday experience like cashless situations. Oh, I see, contactless. Other projects with significant impact on fans like loyalty, ticket allocation for cup finals, forget that, ticket touting, and maximising attendance at Emirates Stadium. How much of that? Oh, not long left. Not long to go, guys. We're nearly there. We will transform the selection process for election to the forum by using our system to engage directly with specific groups so nominees can make their pitch to supporters directly. We will also promote the feedback mechanisms for fans more effectively to help forum members better reflect the views of their groups. We are also establishing workshops to take Fans Forum representatives through specific areas of work. This will support our drive to make the fans' voice more central to our decision-making and thinking, which is a key priority for us moving forwards. In addition, Vinay Venkatesham and other senior members of staff will meet with each of the ASA and AST at least 3 times a year, formally between each fan forum and ad hoc as required, to ensure the voice of their membership is clearly heard. Supporters clubs will also have the opportunity to meet senior club officials on a regular basis. A fan representative will also join the Arsenal Foundation Trustee Board. Stan and Josh Kroenke said, "We are 100% committed to Arsenal for the long term, and we want our fans to feel even closer to the club they love. The steps that are being taken here will ensure their voice is more central to the club's decision-making moving forwards." I mean, ooh. Let me just quickly grab something in the chat. First of all, thank you ever so much, Graham. Really appreciate the support, mate. I've just seen your comment as well. I'm just going to read that out. Graham, thank you ever so much. Love the work you're doing, Tom. Who would you promote from the academy to the first team apart from the ones who have already been promoted? Probably the likes of Kido Taylor-Hart, Catalan Kurjan, and let me give you one more. maybe Joel Lopez is kind of the third choice left back. But beyond that, I would want to see some more development going on with those guys. But thank you, Graham. Anyway, reacting to all of that, and there's a lot of information. The big thing that sticks out to me is a big problem with the fact that they are doing, which is great, 3 fan forums a year. That's great. Okay, let's look at the positive side. 3 fan forums in which we're going to speak directly to the club. Fantastic. However, the fact that Josh can only be available for one of those, I'm sorry, but that is a real letdown. That's a real kick in the teeth and a real kind of, it's a contradiction of everything that he said previously, is what it is. It's a contradiction because you can't sit there during a fan forum and sit there and say that you want to get to know the fans. I mean, I've got all of the words for the fan forum on Football London, who have published everything. And I'm sure that there is a quote from Josh Kroenke where he literally talks about the fact that he wants to get in touch with fans more. It's all the Super League stuff. What are your feelings on fan groups or representatives of the fans being at board level? Josh Kroenke says, it's a very tough one. I think there's pros and there's cons. In the wake of everything that's transpired in the last few days, we're going to be asking ourselves many questions, including the one that you just asked me. So while I'm not giving you a yes or no answer, it's definitely something that's up for discussion. So obviously they have now moved forward with plans for that. One quick way that you could build trust with the fans to show the meeting notes from these things. Okay, that's fine. I can't find the specific quote where he says about wanting to get to know the fans more, to speak to the fans more, but he definitely said something along those lines, and so it's certainly something that he said he wanted to do. So the fact that he said that he's only going to attend one of these fan forums is just such a letdown. It's really annoying. It's really, really irritating me because the thing is that I've sat here and I've tried to get in the head and the mindset of the club, and it's made me at times look like an absolute fool because always trying to look from different perspectives. And when you see that you've sat there and said, great, it's a good idea, they're trying to get more involved with the fan base, I understand that. But at the same time, if you're going to get involved with one fan forum out of 3, it's just a real bad example to be setting. And he should be going to all of them. If you're going to do a fan forum, you're going to do it 3 times a year, then go to every single one. It's once every 122 days. That's all you have to commit to. It's just turning up for an hour or hour plus fan forum. I mean, not even that. It's like 5 hours out of the entire year. That's, yeah, it does. You're right, the Red Gorilla. It does say at least one meeting, but I'd rather see the commitment. I'd rather see a commitment that he's going to be there for the fan forums. It's not saying at least. It's like, again, it's about getting your hopes up and saying, oh, we might be there for more than one. I want commitment. I don't want at least one. I want it to be all of them. That's the problem. Oh, an interesting bit of news has just come up on my screen. James Ollie from ESPN has said that Spurs have offered Lyon the chance to re-sign Ndombele in a swap deal for Houssem Aouar. Talks ongoing and are monitoring that. Are they mad? What's wrong with them? Ndombele is a much better player than Houssem Aouar. That is an awful bit of business if that is what happens. Deary me. Deary me. Oh, wow. Spurs just love making me laugh. Neil, please let that happen. Please. Neil DeSouza says, Hector Bellerin, Eddie Elneny, Sad Kolasinac, and Ainsley Maitland-Niles were not in the Euros, and we have not yet sorted out their moves. How can we defend Edu for a lack of effort? I mean, I'm not sure it's not a lack of effort. That's almost as if saying he's been sitting on his ass for all these months and whatever. That's not what's happened. It's just these players are very, very difficult to move on for the price that we want. It's as simple as that, really. I can't believe that Spurs is. That's crazy. Abiadin says, if we get all of our transfer targets in, Locatelli, Neves, Basuma, one of those, Ben White, Maddison, or Aouar, or Odegaard, backup keeper, and a right back if Bellerin leaves, where do you think we'll finish? Obviously, it's a really tough question because you don't know how they're going to integrate. You don't know how they're going to work. You don't know what the other business, the other teams is going to be. It's a really hard question to answer. I would hope that we'd compete for top 4, but it's a really difficult one to assess and say, I think we'd finish so and so. So I'd say I'd hope we'd finish within touching distance, if not in the top 4. Anyway, let's see which one of our members is going to win. One of our Discord members is going to win the free ticket into the signed Freddie Ljungberg shirt. So there are 26 members in the Discord server that have entered. Let's click this. We're going to click this 5 times. And on the 5th go, that is the member that will have won the ticket. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Number 12 is the winner. Who is number 12? That is Gooner. Congratulations to Gooner in the Discord server. You have just won yourself a ticket. I'll be in touch with you after the show finishes and we'll sort out the logistics of that. But congratulations, mate. You have won a free ticket into tonight's draw for a signed Freddie Ljungberg shirt, which you can still, of course, win your own entry into the competition. All you need to do is go to the Football Prizes website and buy a ticket. There is only... let's have a look. Let's refresh this page, see how many tickets have been sold at the time of recording. 71. There are only 28 tickets left, and there is only 1 hour, 54 minutes for you to go and get one. So make sure that you do. We've had quite a lot of our members and our viewers win these. Jared Carver has won 3 so far. So if you ever were worrying about the fact that you think this isn't legit, that you don't actually get them or whatever, Jared has so far won a signed Nicolas Pepe shirt. He's won a signed Dennis Bergkamp shirt, and he's won something else as well. I can't remember what the last one was. Daniel Robert has won a signed Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang photo montage. And I think there's someone else that's won something as well. But yeah, so our people who watch the show win stuff all the time. So make sure you get yourself a ticket before that runs out this evening. Jashar says, hi, Tom. How do you enter via the Discord? In the Discord, Jashar, there is a channel called Football Prizes Competition. And you just need to follow the instructions. Every time I post a link to the prize, you just post the next number in the sequence. And that's your number for the thing. So there you go. That's the Discord server. If you're not in there, you need to be an expert member or a TGT ambassador to be in our Discord server. Konstantin says, we never heard the news about Pellegrini from Roma. Perhaps we can scoop him up for Xhaka. What do you think? I mean, Pellegrini is obviously a really fantastic young talent, and I would be very open to Arsenal moving for him, but it depends what Roma are asking for. It depends, obviously, the situation that goes on with Granit Xhaka and the relationships between the two clubs. You'd hope it was quite good after seeing Mkhitaryan leave for there as well. So fingers crossed we can sort out the Xhaka deal. Maybe Pellegrini will be someone that we move for. Sam Dowie says, do you think that Lokonga will be available for the American tour? From all of the information that I have, is that is the plan, is that he's going to go to the Florida tour. He's already been quarantining in London, and we should see an announcement of his signing very soon. So all the hope is that, yes, he will be going on the Florida tour. Carol Bailey says, nobody wants our Deadwood. I was envious of the Spuds when they signed Ndombele. Please let our swap be true. I would take Ndombele in an absolute heartbeat. I can't believe they'd be letting go of Ndombele. He's such a talent. He's been so misused at Spurs. He really should have gone to the likes of Juventus. He would have been so much better used if he had gone there. An amazing player when he was at Lyon. If they go and get Aouar, wow, that is a big, big letdown on that front. Rashidat says, how is Emile Smith-Rowe considered a 10? That dude is everywhere. More box-to-box than anyone. He's more of an 8. I'm not so sure he's more of an 8. I'd consider a Danny Ceballos an 8 from last season. I wouldn't say Smith-Rowe is. Yes, you're right that he is everywhere on the pitch, but that's more to do with kind of his positioning and the tactics in which we deploy him on the pitch rather than his actual raw position. He's more of kind of a... He is a 10, but he can play in the number 7. He can play the number 11 role as well. I think he can play either in the wide positions as kind of this kind of inside forward that is more creative. He's versatile. He's great. And I mean, let's just appreciate him for what he is ultimately. Our South African says, what do you think is the most realistic number 10 signing? We haven't really been linked to many, to be honest. And you would think it would have been someone like Erdegaard. You would have thought it would have then been Buendia, but it's just not happened. We haven't really been given any real names beyond Madison, beyond... I'm trying to think of anyone else that we've really been linked to in that position. Aouar isn't a number 10 for me. He's a number 8. So beyond Madison, it's been pretty much no one. So I don't know what is a realistic option for Arsenal to go and get in that position. So I can't really give you a name for who I think would realistically be coming in as the number 10. We'll wait and see. If the Ødegaard situation with Real Madrid is as what some reports do claim, then maybe it would be him. But I'm not sure. Julian Brands Rahil, I'm not interested in at all. I don't think he's the right choice. I don't want to buy someone who's on the way down, and I think he has been on the way down at Dortmund ever since he left Leverkusen. So I think that we should be looking for someone that is on an upward trend, which Ødegaard is certainly on that upward trend. So that's what I would go for in that sense. Oyafabal would cost a hell of a lot of money if and he's more of kind of a wide player than a number 10 for Sociedad. So I think that whilst I'd love him, I think he's a great player. He didn't have the best of semi-finals in the Euros, but he's a great player. Fekir, says Zamir, possibly. Fekir, much more direct, but we've not really seen any links of late with him and Arsenal. So that's not. Yeah, King, I agree with you. I'd be very open to the idea of getting Mateus Pereira. I think he's a really good option. Someone who's a goal scorer in the Premier League, proven, still young, and would really add a little bit of drive and tenacity to the team. So, yeah, definitely Mateus Pereira is someone that I would look to go for. Chris says, 1 right back, 2 defensive mids, 3 attacking mids, 4 centre-backs, 5 goalkeepers, 6 right foot wingers, 7 centre. Am I doing like the Days of Christmas songs? On the 7th day of Christmas, Arsenal never gave to me. That's pretty much how it's going to go, isn't it? Arsenal never give us any signings. But yeah, on all of those, we need a lot of positions. So an unbelievable amount of a business that we need to get done, and we're not seeing any of it get done at the end of the day. I mean, Gib, yeah, we were hopefully at some point in the future with DG. It was meant to happen the other day. It didn't, but hopefully we'll sort something out soon. Alistair says, how can Arsenal get rid of Willian? The MLS deal now seems off. I mean, we were told by Fab that it was done, 100%, leaving, certain, definitely going is what he said. We'll wait and see whether or not that actually comes to fruition. Alexander Lawson says, hey, Tom, how do you set up the midfield with Emil Smith-Rowe, Neves, Partey and Bissouma? I suppose what you would do is you'd play Bissouma as your 6, Neves and Partey in front as 2 number 8s, and then you'd probably push Smith-Rowe to a wider position in a 4-3-3 is what you would do. Zamir says, is Ben White home yet? Haggling over pennies. I don't know if it's about haggling over pennies. I think Ben White and rather Brighton, I think, are really pushing Arsenal for a lot more money than they want to pay. So I don't think it's a case of penny pinching on Ben White. I think the Brighton are really pushing Arsenal to pay a lot more than they're willing to pay. And that's why it's taking so long to get done. Yeah, I'm sorry, James. Thanks for asking, but yeah, it just didn't happen. Noah says, I'm not sure I would like Ødegaard back. He didn't really impress me at his time there. I get he only had a few months to settle, but I thought he was too slow on the ball and slowed down attacks. It's interesting because I don't think he did that at all. I thought he was excellent in transition. I thought he really pushed us forward with his passing. He really took games by the scruff of the neck at times and looked a real creative force for us. And I think with consistency and with kind of the emphasis that he's going to be an Arsenal man for the future, he would really develop for Arsenal. So I'm more open about the idea of Ødegaard coming to Arsenal, definitely in the future. Michael Grayson says, could you see Willian being left out of the final roster if we didn't move him? Maybe. Maybe we see an Ozil part 2. Sam says, are you happy to see the club linked with Guido Rodriguez? 100%. I really like Guido Rodriguez. I think he's excellent for Real Betis. We've done, by the way, a lot of you did tweet me saying, is there going to be a tactical breakdown on Guido Rodriguez? We've actually already done one. There is one on the channel. We did it a couple of months ago with Alan Feely, who's Irish, and he's a Spanish-based Irish reporter on all things Spanish football. So definitely go and check out his stuff because it's fantastic. But he gave us the insight on Guido Rodriguez and could only say really good things about him and really kind of confirmed everything that I've seen of him. And he looks a really, really good player. Wrath of Aries says, what about Pedro Gonçalves from Sporting? Yeah, absolutely. Would love Pedro Gonçalves. I think he's a brilliant talent and he's going to go on to have an amazing career. But I can't see Arsenal being the club that get him, unfortunately. Taib says, Tom, do you see Arsenal trying to sign players once the season is up and running? I really hope not. I really hope that they sort this out in the 3+ weeks that they've got left. Because the idea of waiting, the idea of haggling over these guys during the season just makes things so much more difficult. And it's a real frustrating time. It's getting more frustrating and concerning. I'm not panicking. I'm just concerned at this point in time. If he says Guido Rodriguez played in the Copa America, he did. He did really well. He didn't have the best of finals, but he started 4 matches, I think, throughout the tournament and was good for Argentina. So I would certainly be looking at him as a very good option for Arsenal in the centre part. 27 years of age, so he's still got a good amount of years and still has sell-on value to his name too. So that's a positive as well. Michael says MLS can sign 1 luxury player that doesn't count against their salary cap. I think they can sign 2 because you've got. I'm pretty sure that clubs get 2 more than 1. I might be wrong. I'm not an expert. I thought it was 2 because I remember hearing about Inter Miami did it for 3, and then they had to get rid of one of their players to Fort Lauderdale FC. I can't remember the guy's name, but they put Blaise Matuidi on the wrong list of players, and so they got fined and had to shove a player off to some lower league team. So I thought it was 2, but I might be wrong. You'll have to tell me if I'm wrong. Yark says Cucurella from Getafe would be good for Arsenal. I love Cucurella. I think he's a great player. I think he can play in left back. He can play left midfield. He can play centre midfield. I think he's really good. And he'll be knocking on the... I mean, he already has got into the Spanish national team, but he'll be knocking even harder on the door of the Spanish national team. And Brighton are actually linked with him. And if Brighton pull off not only Mwepu, but Cucurella as well, that's a great bit of business for them. A really, really good bit of business. I'm doing good, King. Thanks for asking, mate. Vegas Gunner says the MLS designated player counts to 350k against the cap. I think they can have 3 against it. So, I mean, as long as they're under the cap, I suppose it's fine. But I think you're only allowed... Yeah, you're only allowed a certain number. It's 3, says King. There you go. You heard it here first. James says, I believe your analysis 1,000 times. Oh, it's... DG's a great content creator, so James, I appreciate that, but DG's are fantastic. And to be honest, if I'd read your comment before I clicked on it, I probably wouldn't have clicked it up because DG's a great content creator. So none of that. Vinny Eagles says, I heard that Inter Miami pulled out on the Willian deal after realizing he was. For goodness sake, Vinny, this is why I should vet comments. Oh, dearie me. Venkatesh says, we are watching All or Nothing since last few seasons from Wenger era every weekend. It was painful. I mean, it has felt like a little bit of a reality TV series watching Arsenal anyway. So I see what you're saying. Nambro says, your thoughts on Arsenal waiting on Locatelli Juve saga? I think we are wasting time unless there was some indication from the Locatelli camp that he wants to join. I think that the situation is that Arsenal have been kind of given impetus, they've been given kind of encouragement that a deal with Juventus may not happen, and in which case they could still land their number 1 target in midfield. So we'll wait and see if that does turn out to be the case. If he says, how are Brighton linked to really good players? Because they sign good players. I've said this time after time. I think Graham Potter is an overrated coach and should have done better with the squad that he ultimately is. Like, for me, when you look at a coach like Graham Potter and he's got the likes of Trossard and he's got these players up top and he's got the players up Ben White and he's got Dunk and he's got kind of these £40 million worthy defenders and can only go and win 1 game at home in the whole of 2020, that is not good enough. It's really not good enough. And I think they should have done better than just being relegation survivalists. So, we'll wait and see. Jeffrey says, Iffy, that's true. He needs to work on that aspect. I can only see him improving, though. Whereas with Madison, I'm just not sure he would shine for us the way he did with Leicester in 2018-19. I think Madison is going to be someone that ultimately stays at Leicester. I'll be surprised if he moved. I don't think anyone's going to pay the fee for him. If we got him, it'd be great. I think he's a fantastic player, but I just think it's a little bit too far-fetched to see Arsenal paying kind of the what's necessary anyway to get it done. Samuel Gray says, what do you think of Nadiem Amiri as a possible number 8 for us? Amiri, I've heard of him. Let me double check before I say things about a player that I don't know much about. Nadiem Amiri. Is he? Yes, he is a German player. Has he played for the national side? He has got 5 caps. Currently at Bayer Leverkusen, very interesting player, but I don't know much about him. So certainly for me, I think you need to be going to Drew at Logic Lera on Twitter. He'll tell you a lot more about him than you'll get from me. Michael Grayson says Arsenal's real problem in transfers is that they want to prorate all of their payments and don't spend enough up front to seal the deals. Do you mean like they want to kind of pre-prepare? Is that the right way of putting it? They kind of want to vet the players before they bring them in, and they maybe wait too long before bringing players in. It is important that we vet players. It's important that we obviously make sure that we spend our money on the right players, because for so long, Michael, we not recruited really poorly. Like, we've really recruited not in the right way over the last, say, 10 years or so. And that for me is always going to be the reason why we sit 8th in the table over the last 3 seasons. And so I think that when it comes down to vetting players, it's always going to be really important that ultimately we do the research, we spend the right amount of money, and we don't end up going and spending too much on a player like a Mustafi again. And that's always going to be an issue for us. Is the Coop Miners' interest real? Says, where did that comment go? Clyde says, Tom, is the Coop Miners' interest concrete? I mean, it's coming out of Holland, which gives me some indication that there should be, hopefully anyway, some truth to it, I suppose, is the right way of putting it. I think when you think about the fact that you've got a player in Coop Miners that's been really kind of highly rated by Arsenal for quite some time, that we would go for him, but he's going to be on a long list of candidates. And when you kind of get these reports guessing on Arsenal targets, it's all the truth in the world that they could get one right. We've seen it with loads of players in the past. Coop Miners or Guedo Rodriguez, Amir, I'm not sure. I think I'd lean more towards Guedo Rodriguez for the level that he is, for the physicality that he brings, for the kind of the style of game that we need, and that impetus in the dressing room, the impetus to be kind of that really strong player in the middle of the park for us. But who knows at this stage who we're going to go for? It could be Guedo Rodriguez, it could be Neves, it could be Basuma, it could be Toyin Coop Miners. There is a hell of a lot that we still need to do, and hopefully we're going to get it done before the season starts, because that's always going to be the big thing for Arsenal right now, is making sure that we get stuff done before the season starts. Top 4 or top 6, I've said, and I said it on Dan and Lee Judge's show the other day, I think for me, when it comes down to our target for next season, getting top 6 would be a good season, but getting into the top 4 would be a great season, and that's what we need to see. Vinny says, if you could have a realistic signing over the line tomorrow to improve our team, who would it be? Realistic? Probably Max Aarons. Genuinely, probably Max Aarons, because I think a player like Max Aarons, anyway, for me, is someone that is homegrown, is young, he's a right back, and I really feel the right back's going a little bit under the radar right now as a position that we need to go for. So I hope that we end up going for a right back. I hope it's of the level of Max Aarons, and that we just get that situation sorted, because if we get that done, I think our defence is pretty much there, besides Ben White coming in, of course. Yes, we need a centre midfielder. Yes, we need an attacking midfielder. But if you were saying I can get one in tomorrow, it's mainly because I think that the right back is a position on the pitch where we just haven't seen any links to yet. And it might then mean that we force out a couple of the ones that we already got already, like Bellerin or Cedric, for instance. Alistair says, if we sign Neves and Xhaka out, if we get Xhaka out, then maybe we might be able to get in. He will complement Partey nicely. Pepe, he will be our key striker this season. I reckon he will go for about 20 goals. I think if you get Xhaka out and you get Neves in, the way in which he complements Partey is always going to be through his enabling, the way that he covers the pitch, the way he's got kind of that situation on the pitch where he's in lots of places. He's not like the most mobile player in the world, Ruben Neves, but somehow he covers the pitch exceptionally well. And because of that, I think that Partey would be given more responsibility to push forward. And I think he would ultimately be able to be more influential in the game. So I agree with you that he'd be able to influence him. In regards to Pepe, I think that Pepe, basically the way that Pepe needs to influence the game is by playing a little bit closer to the central striker. But until we know what's going to happen with Pepe this season, whether he is going to get those minutes that he desperately needs, I can't really have an assessment on him until we see the first few games of the season. I really hope Pepe is given the impetus. With Saka obviously not available because of his extended holiday, you think that Pepe would be straight in at the start of the season. Pepe needs to be given a full season of 38 games in the Premier League and let him come good. That's what we need from a Nicola Pepe. Suraj says, just tuned in. We'll rewind. Everyone smash the likes and show some love on the channel. Stephen Foote says, hi, Tom. Would you be happy if we got Ødegaard back? Yes, I think I would be. I like Ødegaard. I think he gives us all of the elements that we need. I think he gives us everything that we desperately are looking for. And we ultimately want someone that is going to be creative, create lots of chances. And if you look at his metrics and the way in which he passes into the box on such a regular occasion, that we've got someone like that. So I think that's going to be a really good one. Shabam says, Tom, do you believe that we can get into the top four? I don't believe so, as the teams like United, City and Chelsea and Liverpool are far, far ahead, and they are still trying to improve their squads. It's a big ask. And one of the big questions I have for you guys is, if Arsenal make all those signings, are you realistically thinking that Arsenal are going to be getting into the top four next season? Because I just can't see it. I just can't see it being a realistic target for us. It should be the aspiration. It should be what we're trying to reach, is getting into that top four. But it's just not a realistic outcome for us. It's just not a situation whereby you look at Chelsea's squad, you look at United's squad, you look at Liverpool's, you look at Manchester City, you look how good Leicester are, you look at the other teams that are spending absolutely bundles of money on their squads. And the expectation from some fans is that we're trying to get into the team. Trying to get into the top four. And it's just not a realistic outcome. And that's always going to be a bit of a problem, I think, for Arsenal. So anyway, we'll wait and see. We have reached the near hour mark. So we are going to finish things off there. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Really genuinely do appreciate it. If you could drop a like on the video, I would be much, much appreciative of the support that you're always showing to the channel. We'll be back tomorrow morning, as always, at 8 a.m. Always a pleasure to do that. And it's episode 75. We made one signing, and yeah, we'll wait and see if what happens. But fingers crossed we can get some bit deals done and ultimately see some deals across the line. And Lokonga, of course, we're still waiting on that one. And there is, of course, still the chance to win a signed Freddie Ljungberg shirt. There is only now an hour left of the competition, so please make I don't know why I did that. For some reason, I refreshed my screen. Apologies that I dipped out there for a second. But please do go and get your ticket before they run out. It's been an absolute pleasure, guys, to speak to you. Sorry that I dipped out there earlier than I meant to. But other than that, we'll see you again tomorrow morning. It's been an absolute pleasure. And as always, up the Arsenal.